There are certain phrases that make a Texan's heart beat faster. From Sam Houston, remember the Alamo. From Neil Armstrong, Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. And one from James Carney, get your lazy asses out of bed. Moby began his radio career while still in high school, working at WCSV in Crossville, Tennessee for the princely sum of $1.60 an hour. After graduation, he was off to Belmont College in Nashville, intending to major in music education and become a high school band director. A year and a half later, he decided it was time to get back into radio. His re-entry into the medium was at Nashville's WAMB, where he played big band music. From there he started rocking, first at WKDF and then at WKQB, segueing from Glenn Miller to Steve Miller. In '81, Moby moved to Tampa and WQXM for an evening gig. A few months later, Alan Sneed, a program director Moby had worked for in Nashville, called from Houston, offering Moby the afternoon drive shift at KSRR 97 Rock. He quickly moved to mornings, becoming a Houston radio institution in the process. In 1986, Moby headed for Dallas and a job at KEGL, the Eagle. During this period, director Oliver Stone asked him to work on the film Talk Radio. Moby inquired about an on-screen credit. When Stone asked, "Do you want one?" the reply was, "Dang right." A couple of years later, Moby got back on I-45, this time heading south back to Houston, where he was paired with Lanny Griffith for afternoon drive at Heritage Rocker KLOL. His tenure at KLOL was highlighted by a ride-along tour with the Rolling Stones and a live broadcast from Moscow. Country music came calling 3 years later when WKHX in Atlanta hired Moby for Morning Drive. The show was a hit, syndicated in 38 markets by ABC. In 2002, Moby started his own successful syndication operation, which continued until 2015. Moby has supported the work of many charities, including the Leukemia Society, the March of Dimes, Easter Seals, Special Olympics, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation, among others. Moby has been recognized numerous times for his contributions to radio broadcasting, winning Billboard's Major Market DJ of the Year award 5 times and the Academy of Country Music Major Market DJ of the Year award in 1999. He was inducted into the Country Radio Hall of Fame in 2012 and the Georgia Radio Hall of Fame in 2011. Today, James Moby Carney joins the ranks of hundreds of esteemed broadcasters in the Texas Radio Hall of Fame.
I'm really glad somebody before me got emotional because I will melt. I do. Thank you all so very much for that warm welcome. Old friends, I say, faces that haven't seen in years, many names of faces I've seen for years. Damn, I forgot your name. Is that okay? But thank you for the warm line. There are more thank yous than I can ever share in this venue, but if I don't do it now, when? Pat Fant is somebody I'd like to thank. He was, yeah, I know. Anybody here been fired by Pat other than me? Okay. You know what? Screw him, we're still here. Oh, it's okay, Pat's still here too, I'm sorry. You know what, the funny thing is though, it's been such a long time since we've seen each other. Some of these people I've worked with before, we recognize each other, but trying to remember their names is a problem. But this confirms the undeniable fact that getting older ain't for wimps. Y'all, some of you know that's true. The only ones that were giggling to themselves are going, yeah, that shit's right. Now, as I think back on my Houston resume, it would begin with Alan Sneed and Jeff Trumper at 97 Rock at the start of the 80s. Trumper was my first boss. God, what a great guy he was. I didn't know he was 26 years old at the time, and the general manager in market number 4. He wouldn't tell anybody how old he was. We found out later. Dang. Good, great guy. Trumper was my first boss here in Houston, all the way to Pat Fant at KLOL. My final GM, Pat was. My last rock and roll, by the way, was Pat Fant was general manager of GLI. Excuse me, I lost my. I shouldn't be this old and trying to. If I hadn't started drinking, but okay. But I came to Atlanta in '91 and went to country music. And people always told me, said, Moby, you ought to move to country. You'd be great at country. So listen to you. I said, well, I know I sound country, but I'm doing great in rock and roll because I'd been number 112 plus on several radio stations. And I thought, why should I leave rock and roll? I'm doing great in country. Okay, but doing great in rock and roll. But then I got the opportunity to go to country music. Okay. Well, I can't let this event pass without acknowledging, and this is important, the most beautiful woman that I would not have survived without. My favorite wife yet. The very patient, oh God, the very patient and almost perfect, sweet Mary Beth. Have y'all, by the way, have y'all seen the Oliver Stone movie, Talk Radio? That's me. I was there. Oliver Stone was listening to me on the air, and he called. He wanted to have me for lunch, so I went over and talked to him, and he wanted to put me on Talk Radio, the movie Talk Radio. And I said, I'd ask him, I said, well, do I get a credit, at the end? He said, do you want one? I said, well, hell yeah, I want one. Big letters, come on. Newscaster, announcer, Moby, rent the damn movie. Ah, boy. Mine's the first voice you hear on that too, by the way. Go rent it. Hey, boy. I try to keep up. I should never have written any of this in hand. But there's so many stories that I could share with you. Oh, the Moby battering ram. Oh, shit. Ask the Houston police about that. Some of the old officers will remember it. The Houston Police Department, it was a Moby bumper sticker on the front of the tool that the police would use to knock down doors with. So somebody would be sitting there smoking a joint on their couch and the door would explode and here come a Moby sticker at them at 90 miles an hour. You got to admit, that's kind of cool. I think they're probably out of prison by now. I never heard from them. Oh, the Oliver Stone movie Talk Radio. We talked about that. Mine's the first voice you hear. So many stories I could share with you, though. Catching for Nolan Ryan in the dome. That was a cool thing. Pow, I'd be trying to squat and be agile. God, and I'd throw the ball back to him, and he'd have to run off the mound that way to catch it, and run off the mound that way to catch it. Because I know it's hard to believe looking at me right now, but I'm not extremely athletic. And it ain't that damn funny, it's true. Catching for Nolan Ryan. Anybody in here other than me caught for Nolan Ryan? Hands? I knew it. And going to Germany with Jim Kelly from the Houston Gamblers at the time, and then with Buffalo Bills, yeah. Fine. I'm just not much of a jock myself. But Jim Kelly went to Germany with us, which wonderful. Now I've lost my place. I'm sorry, I've done that 2 or 3 times, and it ain't over. But listen, when I'm talking about my Houston days, the thing that comes to mind, and I'll never forget it, some of you might remember it with the Houston history, the night we killed Glenn Campbell. Yeah, it's funny now. There were some lawyers thought it was funny then. Ah, boy. But anyhow, I was riding around at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, my buddy Bill Moffitt. Anybody here remember Moffitt? Okay. Moffitt, God almighty. And Michael Stevens. And we were riding around one night and we decided we'd kill Glenn Campbell. And you do that on the cell phone with an overnight girl that's working on the weekends, and she don't know her ass from a hole in the ground. And she ain't going to check, so you call her on the phone and go, yeah, how old was Glenn Campbell anyhow? I think the statute of limitations has run up on this now, and I'm not going to get, I don't know if she's still in radio, but anyhow, how old was Glenn Campbell anyhow? She said, was. I said, oh yeah, you haven't heard? We were just watching MTV, and this was a harmless joke. Now, we meant no harm to anybody, but a harmless joke. But the weekend overnight jock we was listening to, and I'm not going to mention her name right now because she is litigious. She will sue my ass again in a heartbeat, and I don't want to deal with it. And trust me, neither does Mary Beth, do you? But anyhow, we called her on this Houston station, And she answered on the first and second ring because it's 2 o'clock in the morning. There ain't nobody calling the request line at this oldie station, but anyway, she answered on the first and second ring. I said, yeah, I want to find out with you, how old was Glenn Campbell anyhow? She said, was. I said, oh yeah, we were watching TV a while ago and they announced that Glenn Campbell had died. Well, did she check with anybody? No. What she did was at the end of whatever song she was playing, she got on her microphone and she said, we have unconfirmed reports that Glenn Campbell has passed away. And my buddy Bill Moffitt, he hands me his cell phone and says, here you go, Moby, confirm it for us. I said, glad to, Bill. So I took the phone. God, radio was fun then. But he handed me the phone. He said, Bill did. He said, here you go, Moby, confirmed it for her. Okay, she answers the phone. I say, me and my wife were listening to you just now, and we heard you mention that Glenn Campbell dying. I said, yeah, we was on watching MTV a little bit ago, and they said Glenn Campbell had died. He was 49 years old. He was at his home in Galveston. After when her next break come up, she was all over it. She said, well, it's been confirmed. Idiot. Come on, man. And that was what the lawsuit came from. It's big, funny now, but it's been confirmed Glenn Campbell has passed away tonight, she said, at the young age of 49. We'll miss the man and the music he would have made. And then she goes off into the tribute. Galveston, oh Galveston, the Wichita lineman, 3 songs, like a rhinestone cowboy. Yeah, God almighty. Whew. We were laughing, we were rolling. God, it was so funny. But you know what it wasn't? Something I should talk about on the radio and take the responsibility for, because she had a lawyer that didn't think it was funny at all. Ah, boy. We were rolling in tears, though. Thought it was funny as hell. Still do, really. Monday morning, I didn't mention it on the air Monday. I called Paul Harrison. Is he still around with the Houston Post? Reporter with the Houston Post. I called my buddy Paul Harrison, and I told him what we had done. And it was a subject of his column the next day. I didn't mention it on Monday. On Tuesday, I was all about it. But by the way, Glenn Campbell was on the Arsenio Hall show a few months later. And walked over, sat down on the couch with Arsenio, and Arsenio said to Glenn, said, you know, Glenn, you look pretty good for a dead guy. And I hollered at my television, said, hey, I did that. That was me. It was me what killed Glenn Campbell. God, it was so, boy. I was proud of myself. And I didn't mention it on Monday's show because it was a good story and I wanted to get it in the paper, but on Tuesday morning, it was the subject of Paul Harrison's column in the Post. Tuesday afternoon, it was an ongoing bit on the KLOL show, on the Moby show on KLOL. I was doing afternoons at the time. Probably either part of the worst and the best things that ever happened to Pat Fant. I'm just like, oh boy, we had a good time though. By the way, if you, let's see, for this evening, I was asked to recall the story from those days, and that's one I thought I could share with you. And I'll let you know next year if I get sued again. If you attend this event next year, and they say, where's Moby? You'll know me retelling that story didn't sit well with somebody. Oh, well. If that ends up being the case, this ain't my first rodeo. I've been ticking off people for a whole lot of years during my career, and I've been thrown out of a whole lot of pretty good bars. But I'm sure happy to be with y'all today. Thank you so much for allowing me this time to be in your ear and your eyes. Thank you so much. I love my dear wife, Mary Beth, my favorite wife yet. And I'll see y'all when I see you. God bless you. Yeah, baby.